Hey, the show is starting. You're one of the lucky two that's watching this. So giddy up, because Fullerton College's premier late night talk show, Last Call, is going to take you on a wild ride. Let's get tipsy.
Cheers, guys. I'm your host, Joe Quintero, and welcome to Last Call. We're the show that talks through the night until they cut us off. And I'm lucky to be joined tonight by Stephen Hamill, who loves to travel around the world. Come on in, Stephen. How are you doing tonight? It's so good to have you here.
Joe,
Thank
great
you.
to be here.
Come on, have a seat and have a seat. So, Stephen, you love to travel around the world.
Yes.
Now, give me an overview. What's it like to travel as suddenly as you do and to go all these types of places?
Well, for me, it's a lot of fun. A lot of times, I kind of just do it on a whim. I've been in one country and then wanted to quickly go to the one nearby. For me, it's about sometimes the adventure, and
About moving from place to place so quickly.
yes.
Yeah.
So sometimes that can backfire.
I was going to ask next, what's the place that's been like, I really want to go here, and you're like, no, this was a terrible idea?
I had to go through Cambodia once to get to Vietnam, and in my opinion, it was a difficult country to travel through, and they're still rebuilding, to put it politely.
Yeah.
And I had some struggles there with some people trying to hustle me and take advantage of me, and now I'm wiser, but then I was still pretty green in my travels, and I got taken for some money, but luckily it wasn't that bad.
Now, we're talking about the negative, like Cambodia. What's something positive? What's been your favorite place to travel to, some place you have an attachment to?
I absolutely have a heart for the Germanic countries. I really love Germany and Switzerland. I was blessed to live in Switzerland 3 years.
3 years, that's a long time.
And mostly I was in Zurich or around Zurich. And absolutely loved it, minus the winters. The winters are a little rough.
I imagine just snow everywhere.
Yes, and I grew up in Massachusetts, so for me I was a bit accustomed, but I think for the average Californian, it would be a little cold.
I imagine so, too, yeah. So you've been in Switzerland for 3 years. What would you say was the craziest thing that happened to you while in Switzerland?
Well, I was in Switzerland 3 years, and I was a bad boy and didn't get the proper visas because I did try, but it's very difficult.
Okay.
They're a very affluent country, and they require a lot of paperwork, and I wasn't able to.
To get
so,
in.
Yes.
Okay.
So they deported me, and that's, unfortunately, we don't have enough time to get into that adventurous story. But needless to say, it was adventurous, but they're very generous there, and they're very kind, and they paid my flight. And they gave me a little bit of pocket money.
They paid your flight out of Switzerland?
Yes, out of Switzerland, which was $1,300.
What nice people over
and
there.
Swiss Air, too, like a top-notch. You're not flying United, you're not flying Lufthansa, you're flying Swiss Air. And they paid it, and they gave me a little bit of pocket money so I'm not left abandoned when I land here. And they even let me pick. They said, do you want to go to Miami or New York? And I said, well, wait a minute.
They give you options for your deportation over there?
So,
that's fantastic.
They were fun. I do owe them some money when I go back if I do plan to, which I'm not sure if I want to based on I do owe them a large sum of money if I go
After
back.
being deported once, I wouldn't blame you for wanting to go back.
So I was, by the grace of God, they are generous, and money heals all wounds, so I think I could go back, but I think I owe them something like $3,000.
Okay, so maybe it's not on the top of your list to go back.
Not as anything more than a tourist, yeah.
Okay. Now, during your travels, have you ever been injured or hurt in a specific way while in a foreign country?
By the grace of God, I've never been hurt, and normally it is wise to get the insurance. It is wise to get the traveler's check.
A lot of them require that, don't you? And
yes, to get a proper visa, you normally have to have at least $1,200 to $1,400 and several sponsors and a full medical insurance from them. Switzerland doesn't want you to have an American insurance. You've got to have Swiss insurance.
You need their level of protection.
They have, and arguably they have
better.
A lot better than us.
You can whisper it better.
Yeah, so they don't want, they cover their bases. They're very wise. They have no national debt compared to here where we have trillions and trillions.
Yeah.
So, they're one of the top countries in the world for a reason.
Okay.
And we can learn a lot from them, but unfortunately we don't.
We could learn a lot from looking at a lot of other countries.
Well, yes.
And with all the countries you look at, what would you say is something that just is shocking to you? It's something that you're like, this is so different than what we do here.
I'm a Christian, so to me to go to the different countries that are Buddhist or have the call for prayer, that's something we're not really accustomed to here in America.
Okay.
And I think, I tried to learn to respect it, but that's a little different when you have, I've stayed in hotels and literally you get the call for prayer coming through at 5 a.m.,
And you're like, this is not my prayer.
Yeah.
This is not for me.
So it's just, I had to learn to respect them, but it was something at first, to me, was a little annoying. But then I realized, okay, I'm in their country. This is, their localized religion, and I need to respect, their culture.
And I want to hear more about that after we come back from commercial. Thank you so much, Stephen. And welcome back, folks. This is Last Call. I'm your host, Joe, and with my guest today, Stephen Hamill. Now, how would you say, I know we were talking about food a little while ago. What would you say is the most interesting thing you've eaten while abroad?
Well, when I first started travels, I didn't really know how to embrace the local cuisine and how to enjoy. And I would, eat like an American.
So you're looking for a nice hamburger and some fries.
Seeking what they call Western food if you're in Asia, hamburger and fries. And then I got wiser and I said, well, let me try the local cuisine. And it might be different for some people. For example, in Thailand, they have the night market, and I like octopus now, but I was able to get like octopus on a stick. And I had to seek it out, but I found like snake soup. And they had the snake blood even.
I got two questions about snakes now. What a part of the snake is in the snake soup?
I assume it's like the middle part of the body, and they cut it up. And it was kind of, believe it or not, everybody says everything tastes like chicken. To me, it tastes kind of like chicken.
Okay.
And as we mentioned before, believe it or not, they give you like a shot of the blood, which is supposed to give you vigor, kind of like Guinness or whatever. To me, it tastes like Red Bull.
Snake blood tastes like Red Bull.
In my opinion.
We may have just found the secret ingredient.
Yes.
Now, when you're traveling, do you prefer to move in the daylight or by night when you're traveling across?
I think it depends on the country, and a wise traveler will plan starting early in the day and say go see the sunrise over the ocean, or some people I'm not into temples, but some people like to climb a temple and enjoy the sunrise. And then like when I was in Thailand, they have a big nightlife. So Thailand or Taiwan, they're known for their night markets. They're known for a lot of the guests in those countries like to go out at night and drink and party and whatever. But the locals, normally they're in bed by 9 or 10, they're working class.
Are there specific countries that have more thriving nightlives, you would say?
Yes, definitely, for sure. I think Tokyo is kind of like the New York, I would say, of
like the East?
Yeah, of that part of the world. And I think, they call New York the city that never sleeps. And I think, obviously, like I said before, if you're in, say, Laguna Niguel, everything shuts down at 9:30. If you're in...
They pack up and go home at 9:30.
If you're in Sunset Strip, they're going all night long. So I think, like here in America, it just depends where you're at. And I think it's always about embracing the local culture and respecting them and just, going with the flow.
And knowing that if it's a nightlife city, you got to expect the nightlife. Okay.
Yeah.
So with all the travels, I'm sure you've picked up a lot of language. What would you say is your next best language you speak?
Yes. So as I said before, being an American, we're very spoiled, and I unfortunately didn't take advantage of learning other languages. Because I was in Switzerland, as I said earlier, 3 years, I did take 1 year of German classes, and I was able to learn, enough to get by. I wasn't fluent because, like I said, I was spoiled. Everybody spoke English to me, and they actually wanted to practice English.
Really?
So yeah, a lot of them, they're not going to speak to their friend in English. They're going to speak Swiss German or whatever. Actually, they come from a foreign country themselves. They might be Serbian and live in,
live in
Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, as we have here in America.
So you guys help each other by just speaking to each other.
Believe it or not, I would like to speak to children because we were like the same level.
Same intellect level in language.
I would like to speak to children because we were like the same level, and my accent was so bad though. Sometimes the little children would cry because they wouldn't know what I'm saying, and I'm like, "Hey, sorry, this is how I say."
I was going to say they hopefully judge you the least, but no, they cry when you speak to them.
Yeah, I mean, what would a child do here if you're trying to say something foreign to them? They would get a little thrown off.
Yeah.
So.
Now, you always travel light and very quickly.
Yes.
So what country have you ever gone into and found out, oh, this is much more expensive than I would have ever expected?
I normally am very, very frugal, and I stay at hostels, and I plan well.
That's smart.
And I didn't plan well when I went to Asia. I ended up originally planning to go to 4 countries. I ended up last minute going to 8.
That's double.
The end of the trip was Japan.
Okay.
And I had literally $200 to my name and 5 days left. And I'm thinking oh no, because it's like the equivalent of being in Newport Beach. It's like $100 a day minimum hotel, and eating out is expensive. And at the time, they actually had the equivalent of the dollar menu at McDonald's, so I was living off of that.
They have that there?
Well, it's 110 yen, which is the equivalent of $1, $1.10 here. At the time, I don't think they have it anymore.
It's very different.
This is circa 2004, but or 6 maybe. But what I did was they have overnight buses, so I wanted to go to Hiroshima. I'm kind of a war buff, so I wanted to see Hiroshima.
I want to hear more about that next time, Stephen, but I'd like to thank you so much for being here. This has been Last Call. This is Stephen. I'm Joe. Thank you all so much for watching.